find out what a data whisperer does and why any kind of data can be soothed to do your bidding. I talked to Jen Stirrup about how data is processed and managed on Azure and how we can store and analyze the huge amounts that are collected all the time. We also cover really important data attributes such as governance and privacy because we care. So what is a data whisperer, Jen? Where does that come from?
Well, it really comes from, I think you have to tease things out of data. And you have to make data interesting and useful. On its own, it's not very useful because you're not doing anything with it. I'm also very softly spoken. I have a Scottish accent and a small voice, and people often say, oh, you need to talk louder. So I thought the whisperers kind of suits me.
They should just talk quieter, I think, yeah.
Yes.
So what's your passion with Azure? How do you manage data on Azure as an example, for example?
I love being able to really make a huge impact in businesses with Azure. I see it is a good opportunity to try and train people up in the latest and greatest technology, which is always great. Yep. I also think it's important for the processes as well. I'm usually there to clean up a process in some way, make something more efficient, make it better, and automate usually in some way. And I think it's also about the technology, I see organisations that just don't seem to want to move to the latest and greatest, and I often give people like a proof of concept. I'm trying to get them to have a leap of faith.
Oh yeah, oh right.
Into Azure.
Good luck.
Yes, but I think people, when they see a project being successful, I believe that they align themselves with success. So if I just do a small project, proof of concepts, train people up. So I tend to work with an agile methodology. So every 2 weeks, I make sure that I deliver training on something to help people move forward. Even just a half day on DAX, just so that people are on board, they feel welcome and included in the project. That's very important.
Yeah. So what are some of the, say, more concrete architectures you're seeing being used right now for cloud and infrastructure?
Yeah, so I tend to see business intelligence architectures moving to the cloud. People come to me with a problem with their data. They might say something like, oh, my report's not working, or even something like, oh, I want to use Power BI, I've seen Power BI. So what I tend to do there is I tend to move to the cloud as part of that project. It's not a total just lift and shift on its own. Yep. It's actually a move to the cloud in disguise, which is quite interesting because I have to bring people along a journey. And I think it's really great because when people see Power BI, for example, on their phones and it's connecting to data in the cloud, it's such a huge win because they can access the data anywhere. And I usually work with global organisations, and that for them is so important.
Yeah. So how do you, when you say you want to access it globally, is something like data sovereignty, is that an issue ever?
It can be. I do tend to find that people don't understand things like GDPR rules or data transfer. So what I'm seeing more of is we tend to move data up bit by bit, and if people are uncertain about whether they can put this particular data in the cloud, a column or something like that, what I do is I say, well, let's not do it now. It's not a no, it's a not yet. So that your legal team, the governance team can look at it. But in the meantime, we still show progress. Because even though I'm not taking that column up to the cloud, I'm taking everything else.
Where do people go now? What are the next steps? If I'm a business that haven't got this kind of down pat, where do I go? What are the next steps that I can do?
I think starting off with the end in mind is really important. So what is it you're trying to achieve? I think if you are looking at AI in particular and machine learning, it's all about just trying to work out what's your AI ambition. Do you just want to be able to have AI like a buzzword that you want to slap in some marketing? Do you want that? And lots of people do, and that's fine, and I'm glad that they are honest about that, because I can do something. I can use something like Azure Cognitive Services to do something busy. Or sometimes they'll say, actually, I just want AI to help automate and clarify and clean up a process. And that's good too. So I think, first of all, organisations been very clear about their ambitions going forward, what would they really want to do. Because I find it's almost like some of them don't talk to one another very well. And customers and companies only do ands. They've got a weird type of logic, so they never do nots, they never do ors. Everything's an and. So it's about saying, what and would you like to do first? And that's why the agile methodology comes in. So it's a big shift for organisations, but I think if you start with the end in mind, everything will follow on from that.
That's really good advice. Thanks so much, Jen. I really appreciate being on the show.
you.
Cheers.